one of our interns that's in the house with us today. Next time, when you'll hear Demaya do her news as well, we're adding them to the process, getting them immersed in the radio business. Because what I didn't tell them about this business is that I didn't go to school for radio. I didn't initially plan to do radio. So here I am doing radio. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Certainly, we've got our special guest today, Dr. Rosie Milligan. We're excited to have her on today as well. Remember, it's our issues, our solutions, our voices, and that's what's important to me, and that's what's important to our listeners, and that's certainly what's important to our guests as we get them on to talk about the issues that affect our community, the black community, okay? So I hope you all enjoyed today's show. Today we're going to delve into a little bit of black male-female relationships, but not how you think, okay? We want to try to figure out how we got to this point as it relates to the dynamics of black male-female relationships. And is it good for our community or not? And if not, then what do we need to do to change it? Because, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And we've been doing the same thing over and over again for quite some time. That mind put into us by our slave masters. But my argument is it really doing anything to help the black community? My special guest today, Dr. Rosie Milligan. Dr. Rosie, how are you doing today? I am doing fantastic. As always, Dr. Rosie joins us. You know, you need to see your doctor every now and then. So we have we have to see Dr. Rosie at least once a month so that we can fix some of the stuff that's wrong with us. You know what I'm saying, Dr. Rosie?
I got it.
So before we get started, Dr. Rosie, tell our audience a little bit about you. In fact, you heard me mention we've got two interns in the office for the next 5 weeks, and one of them is an aspiring writer. So tell them a little bit about yourself, Dr. Rosie.
Well, I am a business consultant. I'm an estate planner, one of the largest African-American female publishers in the country. I've authored 16 books, and I help people stay on target. I'm a relationship expert. I've written 26 books of my own, and many of them deal with relationships and finance. I see those as the critical areas that prevent us from moving to the next level, because economics is very important when you start talking about relationships, and we need to know how to have a healthy relationship based on our culture, our history, and where we are today. And number one, understanding that as black folks, we are not Caucasian clones, so we must find our own issues and deal with them from a cultural standpoint.
Let's start right there. I like what you said there, Dr. Rosie, is that we are black people. We're not Caucasian clones. What do you mean by that?
That means that we should not try to perform and behave in the way they do. Because, you know, parents years ago would tell their daughters, go to school, get a good education, find a man and sit you down. She was saying that because she saw the white woman sitting down, but it never occurred to her that the white woman was sitting down because she had your mama up, auntie, and everybody else. And you hear people say it's your job to bring in the bacon. Well, in black America, we need to define our own roles as to what we're going to do. Who's going to be at home, who's going to take care of the children. Because we get caught up with the fact, well, it's your job to bring in the bacon. We're saying it's your job to make the money to pay the house note. And even women who are not married think it's their boyfriend's job to pay their car note. We got so drowned into who's supposed to do what. Now, naturally, how could you expect to be able to do for your wife what the white man did for his wife? When you were the slave, you were the one in the field, and he was the one owning everything. And we never have been able to separate that. We see each other out of the eyes of mainstream America, and that is our problem. We have to do what works for us. If the man is making $13 an hour and the wife is making 30, then we have to say who should be home with the kids and taking them to school and teaching them and helping with whatever. We have to come to that standpoint. We're not Caucasian clones, so don't get it twisted.
Well, it seems to me, Dr. Rosie, that's one of the main problems with black male-female relationships, is that we've gotten it twisted. And my argument has been, and I make a lot of sisters in this area mad at me because, when you talk about the feminist movement and the black woman, I always ask the question, well, black men aren't keeping you down. You're probably not going to ever get the money that white men get. And part of the reason you got in the feminist movement was because white women saw how much of a fighter you were, but they're not really interested in your motives, the things that you want done for you, your family. Talk a little bit about that.
They were. They're not out there fighting to make sure that your salary is equal to theirs. They're not fighting to make sure that you get reparations, which is something that you're supposed to have. No. They knew that you were strong. They knew you would fight, so they needed you to join their team. But I have not seen not one issue where they joined the team to help black women. And many of them really see black women as their enemy, as they always did, because they, that's why a lot of them want to marry black men. A lot of them even been jealous of black women because of her strength, because she has always been one that could speak her opinion, even when the black man could not, because the black woman could talk back and say what she needed to say without being harmed, where the black man, if he spoke up against the white man, he might have been murdered the next day. That's why right today, black women are so vocal, because they're not afraid. They're even taught that way when they leave home. The parents doesn't say to the young lady, now you be careful, you watch out. They don't do that, but they put all that fear in the black man because she knows that he might not make it home because of the racism, because of police brutality and how they treat black men. But if a black woman gets stopped by the police, she's popping her neck and saying whatever she wants to say. And she has no fear, thinking that he's going to do something to her. So, those are some double standards. But it came out of the fact with black women seeing what happened to the black man who spoke up, how he was lynched. And many times they would beat the black man and put him on a horse and hit the horse and split him, going two different ways with the black man in the presence of his wife and children, for the black woman to understand, look, you don't have no protection. The black man can't protect himself. So that gave the black woman the notion of always walking around talking about, I'm the backbone. And why would a woman call herself the backbone of a family? Things like that we need to let go. You're not the backbone. You don't have to boast about your strength. You don't have to pick cotton or pull anything. So why should you always talk about your strength? No other woman do that. And even in relationships, black women do a lot of things before that man can do it. She'll jump up and do it. Well, I moved the couch. I was moving things before I met you. Well, the white woman would stand there and she'd drop a straw and wait for the black men to pick it up. And what do men want? They want to be needed. And sometimes black women don't know how to show them that they're needed because they're busy trying to show them what they can do. And that's part of what came through the advantage of slavery, because the black woman and black man both was in the field doing the same thing.
We're talking to Dr. Rosie Milligan, author of numerous books, Nigga Please, Satisfying the Black Man Sexually Made Simple, The Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Milliganisms, and let's not forget that why black men choose white women. So let's because I want to talk a little bit about that, but let's go back because you mentioned the two horses. And when I first became aware of Dr. Rosie Milligan, Doctor, do you realize it's been almost 25 years? I think I brought you to Nashville, almost 20 years. I think you brought you to Nashville, what, 97, 98, somewhere in there. We both were younger, that's for sure. I had met you in Memphis at Sidewalk University because you were speaking there. And you had the book Nigga Please. And in that book, it was the first time I had ever read the full version of the Willie Lynch letter. And you mentioned putting a black man, the strongest black man, on the plantation between two horses and splitting them apart to instill fear. Talk about how that act and others affect black male-female relationships today.
Exactly. It does. You know, because he was put down, he was shown that he could not protect his family. You can imagine what that meant. And black men wanted to be strong. And the thing about it, black men was only allowed to show that emotion exactly in church. When they went to church, service, or funeral, then they could show that soft side of them. You know, and that makes a very big difference. That's why even today, a lot of men don't know how to express their feeling because they always trying to validate that I am a man, because they came up in a culture where they was treated and shown as if you're not a man. That's when they were treated. So black men always want to validate their manhood. And even coming up on the plantation, if the black man would show love toward his wife, his woman, the next thing you would know, they would ship him to another plantation, because we were not brought here to fall in love. We were brought here to work. We were brought here to have babies so they would have more hands to work in the field, but not to look at each other as a husband and wife. And many black men never felt the power of being that husband, because whatever the white man said, do, that's what he had to do. The black woman would get upset with the black man and go to her boss, the white man, and tell her what the black man did. And he would come out to the house, boy, don't you do that no more. He was like the father for the husband and the wife. So black men struggle even today with that manhood. I'm the man. You know, they want to be that, but they come from a vantage where they've watched their fathers and other men in their life have to take a step back. Even when creditors came in the South, they would send a black woman to the door, and the man stayed in the house. So we have to understand how we got where we are so we can find a way to love each other in spite of.
That's an excellent point, and that's the whole point in taking this back, because we do have to understand how do we, get here. I talk about history a lot on this show and I do a black history, a black fact every day, and quite often in depth. I just don't say who was this guy, who was that guy, because history is important to understand where we were, how we got here, and where we're going to move forward. And as you talk about this, you used to use a term, and I'm sorry it escapes me, where black men and black women have changed roles. Can you expound on that a little bit? Eight 525-525-5683 is the number. We're listening to, in my opinion, the great Dr. Rosie Milligan, of course, my mentor as well. We're talking about black male-female relationships, but not what you think. It's about how we got here and how we can change the dynamics of black male-female relationships. Dr. Rosie, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about when I knew I was booking you today, I picked up an article on, it's called Medium.com, and it says, allies, black women don't need you to agree with how we do this work. If you withdraw your support, your allyship may trash anyway. And it's talking about black women saying that white women typically don't support their causes. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we return. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. I am Dave Coleman on joynetradio.com. So what I'm gonna do here, since I know I have a guest on, I'm not gonna play the full stop set. Who's that? Robert, tall guy? Where'd he go, to the bathroom? I'm not gonna play the full stop set. I'm just gonna play the first spot.
In Clark County since 1966 at Mitchell Funeral Home.
And then we'll move back to our guest.
A celebration of life and legacy. So the entire staff takes great pride in the caring personal.
Sorry about that, Latanya. I'll try to get the mic. And you need to download the app and you can hear everything.
Life insurance, notary, and monument sales.
And I told you.
The services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected.
I'll have her to repeat her answer and then we'll move forward. How about that?
70-246-2611. Call.
Hey man, these are, you had met our interns. This is my calls.
Call us now. Let's walk through this together.
I didn't hear y'all say my name is.
It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Hi, I'm Robert Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matter.
How you doing, man?
Bankruptcy, personal.
We got a guest, Dr. Rosie Milligan's
I
on.
want to help you. I can be reached 501, 503.
Then we'll get into some other stuff at the top
Don't
of
take your
the
legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 Norfolk Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm Attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
So I played 2 spots and came back. All right, welcome back to the show. It's Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number right now on the phones. We've got Dr. Rosie Milligan with us. Dr. Rosie, do me a favor. One of my listeners that's listening on Facebook, who is a loyal listener, would like for you to repeat that process of the reverse role of black males and black females, okay?
Okay, I sure will. And that is laid out clearly in my book, Nigga Please, which I think everyone should read. When I say she's real in reverse order to nature, because it's natural for a woman to be able to depend on her man for support and for strength. But black women were not afforded that because the black man, if he stood up, he was beaten down in her presence to make sure that she knew that she didn't have any support. So the black woman, many times you hear them say, I can do bad all by myself, I don't need a man. That's where all that stuff came from. Because she had felt for years that she was on her own because the black man could not protect her. So because of that, then it put her in the protective role, it put her in the dominating role, and the black man was reared to be fearful because the mother didn't want the white man, the master, to beat him down to kill him. So he was taught to keep his mouth shut, don't talk back, to just be subservient to the white man. The black woman was never taught those fears. When she left home, nobody told her, you got to watch out, don't say this, but it was implanted into the black man. So that's why the black woman, even today, is running her mouth, popping her head, saying what she want to say. She's not living in fear. Now, what do? You have a black man standing behind fearful and scared, and you got a black woman out there running her mouth, not afraid of anything, and become very, is what we call dominated. Not that the black woman wants to be dominated. She had to take over the role that men had in the European she took on the role that they had, and the man had to take on the weak role.
When you hear the, you definitely do. When you hear the term, black women raise their daughters and love their sons, what does that mean to you?
Well, it means you can trace that back to our history also. Because women always want to protect their son. You hear women that Dr. Cress Wellington will always tell us, stop calling your son my baby. And black women do that all day. My baby, my little man. You know, all that type of stuff. She is inbred in her to protect him, to smother him. You know, to keep him home many times as long as you can. Where you telling the daughters that they need to go, you need your own place. But we understand how we only been free here in America, well, so-called free, but still not free, for 154 years. That's not a long time. And we were not taught. We haven't had our debriefing. That's the issue. We need our debriefing. But every time I try to debrief black folks, they don't want to go there. You're always talking about what happened in the past. You're acting out today on what happened to you in the past. And you can go back and understand. If you know how you got in the ditch, you'll know how to plan to get out. Black folks don't want to revisit this dialogue that we're having today because they don't want to remember. They won't even share it with their children. That's why even today, women have issues like when it comes to abortion, when it comes to that womb, they don't even embrace it because of the pain that went along from being raped. And even if the black woman was raped, she's at least one to be believed. Well, why were you there? What did you have on? You shouldn't have been there. You know, because when black women were being raped by white men, by their masters, they blamed the black woman. Some said, well, they need to send them back to slavery. They tempting our men. It was the black woman's fault. When we understand those things, then we will embrace each other. Still the black man saying, but white men treat the black woman better. The black woman did not come to America on Delta or American Airlines. We came on that same slave ship, and black women and black men have had their share of hardship. So if we learn that, then we can embrace each other in a way that we've never embraced each other before.
Dr. Rose, I'm glad you brought up that term, debrief. Of course, you mentioned the late great Dr. Frances Cress Wellington, and she called it menticide, and we needed a mindectomy, whereas that we have to somehow or another take that old mind out of ourselves and insert a new mind. How do we go about doing this? Because, you know, you've been in that business a long time. I've been in the talk radio business a long time. And I hate to say it, and it's going to make a lot of my black brothers and sisters angry at me, but it's hard dealing with y'all. It just really is. You know, when you're trying to do something positive for our community, quite often they are running more interference. They being our community, they're running more interference against you than the white man is. How do we fix that?
David, when I wrote the book, Satisfying the Black Man, Sexually Made Simple, Satisfying the Black Woman, Sexually Made Simple, in no way I was trying to teach people sexual methodology. I wanted to show them how our sexuality and sensuality, how it impacts our everyday life and why we feel and act the way we do when it comes to sex. Because for the black man, his validation comes from the size of his penis and what he can do with his sexual prowess. You can ask anybody any place in the world what you know about the black man. They won't tell you he was the first successful open heart surgeon that he invented blood plasma. They'll start talking about his sexual stamina, you know? And the idea that they have about black women, that we have to learn who we are so we can embrace each other, because otherwise we would spend a lot of time. But my point being is, when I did that book, it was black women, black folks who came against me. I remember on Sally Jesse Raphael show, when you're trying to start trouble, we all the same. We ain't no different. And one white lady said to me on that show, it's no different. We all have our issues. So let me tell you something, baby. If your husband divorced you, you stand a better chance of getting child support than I do. Because your husband stand a better chance of getting a job, And if my husband is working side by side with him, he's making more money than my husband. And if my son, 16, is out at night, went to the movie, and 12 o'clock he's not home, I'm not in the mood for love making effect. But you might be, because you're not concerned that the police may have killed your child on the way home. You know, so black folks got that know you and dirty linen. That's real for us. You can't talk to me about making love and my 15-year-old is not home at night. You can't talk to me about that. Now the man doesn't understand because he doesn't, the woman, because she's been the protector. David, we've been the protector all our lives here in America. We have to protect our husband. He's not here. You know, dipping him out the back door. Website people come, you act like you didn't have a husband. You don't understand what black women have gone through, and then you won't say, call her fat fox, and she's domineering. She wants to be the boss. Hell, she's always been the boss, and you accepted that role. She did what she had to do. Do you think black women wanted to step up and have that role? That's not what they wanted. That's what we put up on them, and she had to protect her husband, and she feels like now it's ingrained in her protect the male child, whether it's a male or men. That's why black women across this country taking care of men. Men who are moving in their house, who are not working. And people say, why is she doing that? You've got to understand the role of the black woman, how it ties into the protection of the black man.
Boy, Dr. Rosa, that's some deep stuff right there. Woo! I mean, that's just, you got people in the studio, they just nod their head like, you know, when the preacher says something and you just can't say nothing except nod your head, that's what they're doing in the studio right now. How do we fix this? I mean, because that's the key. I mean, you're right. Now, I say we only been out of slavery free or allegedly free since the 60s. Myself, because all of that psychological programming still took place during the Jim Crow eras, because what would they do quite often? They'd come in and hang the black man or the black entrepreneur. Let's talk about entrepreneurship in the black community, because I have been doing a lot of work, at least research in history over the last 3 months, looking at some of the people that were hung. And from my research, and others have said that the majority of the people who were hung were business owners. And I think slavery have imprinted certain things in our DNA, and Jim Crow, and just like you said, as it relates to black male-female relationships. How do we address this lack of support for black businesses, and how do we begin to start fixing that problem?
Fixing it by really understanding that entrepreneurship is the basis for our survival. 95% of all ethnic groups work for their own people. Underscore, 95% of them work for their own people. But 95% of black folks work for other folks. And we're up and on and wonder why there are so many black people that's unemployed. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that. People coming here every day from all over the world, but they're coming here to take care of them and theirs, and to provide a place for them and theirs, not you and yours. And we're not understanding that because we're so caught into social issues and what political movement is going to do for us, and all this give me and hand me out and what you owe us, when we need to be making ways for ourselves. We can no longer tell our children to go to college, get a good education, and then go take your smart stuff to the white man and give him all your intellect, instead of bringing it back home to your community. We got to once again be proud and take pride in the person who come back to your community and open up a restaurant, open up a cleaner. These are basic needs that you have every day. Every week you're going to the cleaners. Every day you're going to the market. I mean, things that we used to do that black folks now are ashamed of and don't want to do. But if we don't create businesses, it's no wonder that we are going further and further into the line of poverty, because people are going to take care of themselves. So what we have to do is lead by example. You know, my kids never saw me going up and them swap me, buying from other people. They see me going out of my way to go to a black cleaner. That's what they have to see you doing. You can't be so lazy that you want to run right across the street. That's why people came here and put business up in our community, because they say, oh, they like to. One man told me if I sold sugar by the cup, black folks would come up here and buy it. I ain't gonna tell you what I told him because it wouldn't be nice. But see, I know he was telling some truth in that. So people go to the store and buy one cigarette. They would go, he said they would buy 1 egg and 2 eggs. They like to trot to the store all day. So what he said to me, Dave, is what many of the rest of them feel. That's how they feel. They know our behavior. When we don't know each other well enough, we got to learn how do they come in and know what we need and bring it and put it right in our community. There shouldn't be a beauty supply house, no place in our community that's not owned by black folks. And if black folks didn't own it, they are demand that you allow some of us to become a partner in this. You would not come in our community and rape us at the numbers and give nothing back. And black folks tend to be satisfied with that. Every one of them should be closed up. How should you be selling us something that we buy every day? That's cosmetic and hair products. People have to laugh at us, David, all over the world when we see that. You know, I walked into a nail shop one day, not to get my nails done. Anybody who can do their nails, they acting like they're a morons. You know, we spend all that money. It's crazy. But I walked in and I said, do you all have a black manicure? The black woman almost jumped up out the chair. Here you come starting trouble. I said, what do you mean starting trouble? The people on the shop didn't have to say anything. The black woman was the one about ready to run me up out of the shop. That's just how crazy a lot of black folks are. So what I need to say today, we need to learn each other and try to stick together. Those who are married, you need to find a way to work it out, because every time you divorce, you bring about more poverty. So two together can't hardly make it in this society. So when you divorce and you got a child over here to take care of, you trying to take, then we're just rearing up a bunch of kids in poverty. And that's why many of them are selling drugs, dropping out of college, stealing, doing stupid stuff. Because they want to have nice things like the other children, and they will do what is necessary to get it, or it's easy for them to be enticed by other people. So we need, if you're married, you need to find a way to stay married, okay? If you're not married, you need to, it's inequality. If you're not married and you're having sex, let me add that too, because a lot of folks say, I'm done with black women, I don't want to get married, then don't have sex with them. When you get sick of black women, okay, then you keep your hands up when you're around them. If you're sick of them, then you get too sick to have sex with them.
Doctor.
Too much, but I mean, it's how the black women don't have sex with. So you need to get married. If that's what you want to do, you need to find, there got to be somebody out there good enough for you to marry. And if she has children, big deal. Then you can be a father to some of these children. We're going to have to really raise our own families up. Sure, you don't have to take care of somebody's baby. You've done it all the time and you never had problem with it. When the black man saw his wife birth the baby, blue eyes and looking white, he knew that baby wasn't his. He didn't ask no damn DNA. We've always taken care of children that wasn't ours. David, I probably need to get off this phone because my blood pressure's going up.
Dr. Rosie, no, we don't want you to get off yet. We got a few more minutes with you, but we certainly don't want your blood pressure to go up. But you're just simply making it plain, and this is a conversation, and this is why, you know, it is important for you to be on this show and for people in Little Rock to hear you, because I'm going to tell you, there's a mentality in this city that I'm ashamed of, and I had no idea that it existed until I moved back. So these people here need to hear what you've got to say, so you continue to make it plain. Let's talk a little bit about this thing with black males and black females and white females, and the book you wrote about that. There seems to be this movement, and although black females seem to be venturing other places as well, what are your thoughts on that, and how will that adversely affect our community as a whole?
Well, one thing about it, there's been a push on for interracial marriage for probably at least the last 25 years. And part of it is to save themselves, because they are becoming extinct. They're having fewer babies. And also for protection, because if your son or daughter is interracial marriage, then you have, biracial children. So that tends to soften the blow that you would send out a different way, because you got to say, well, after all, my grandchildren are half white. It's this baffling thing that people do. If someone loves a person because they just meet them and love them, but when people begin exclusively think that someone in another race is better than a black person, those are the people that I have issue when they exclusively. And we have to understand how that comes about too, David. Everybody wants the best that life has to offer. And the media has portrayed the white woman to be just that. She's the beauty, her hair is beautiful, her skin, everything. So then, and not recognizing that white women wanted to be a lot like black women. They in the gym trying to muscle up, and black women trying to exercise to get rid of her healthy, well-endowed behind. She wanted to look like a white woman. It's like we're trying to go in reverse role, not recognizing that well-endowed behind is that built-in rocking chair that God has imparted upon you, and you're trying to get rid of it because you want to look like the white woman. So even if the white woman asks for a mint coat, the black man, he takes pride in giving her that coat. But when the black woman asks for something, and she's not worthy of that, then she becomes the gold digger. And I say all the time, black men, if black women were gold diggers, they wouldn't talk to many of you black men, because how many of you have gold? The black woman, when I interviewed black mothers, and they told me out of their own mouth that they treated the white woman better who was dating their black son. And I said, why? And they said, we really don't know. I guess you want to embrace them and got to kind of go out of your way to show them that you care about them. I watch people at fashion shows, at events. When you can have one white model and the whole audience, they clap like mad when that person come out. We're always trying to assure and please other people, David. We really have to search ourselves and see how far that is ingrained. Next time you go to a show or you go to anything and a few white people there when they perform, look at the different acts of black people, how they try to overly show them that they appreciate what they did. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I have quite often.
Yeah, it's because it's ingrained that they are better. So if the white woman is better, then the black man wants the best their life has to offer. And they think that's the white woman. And also the black man, many times, he wants to equalize. He feels, but now I got the money. The only thing make me unequal to the white man is that I don't have the white woman. It's some sickness. So we just need to understand why we do what we do. And then we'll be okay. And accept it when that truth is coming over to you, instead of talking about divide and conquer. Because one guy said to me, he was a Muslim guy, I was going to a talk show, and he was saying, well, you're trying to divide us, people are just people. When I don't see color, I see spirit. I said, you do? He said, yeah, when I see people, I see spirit. I said, you tell that employee next time you go look for a job. Tell him to see spirit instead of seeing your black face.
Bingo. That's definitely on point. We've got a few more minutes to go with left with Dr. Rosie Milligan. I hope you all are enjoying the show and enjoying this knowledge. Dr. Milligan, am I wrong if I say that I'm done carrying water for Hispanics, Arabs, white people, everybody else but black people? Am I wrong for saying that?
David, even on jobs, you have black folks who are in positions. They tend to have more people and be better to them than they do black people. They want to show that I'm not making a difference. I want to show that I'm not prejudiced. And right here, we have what they call a lot of people who are on Section 8 and vouchers. Very few of them are getting jobs because they're not the keepers at the door. Every race looks after their own race. I don't care what they tell you. They come first. And you can't, it's culture. It's not, you can't even get into the race part of it. Look at the cultural thing. It makes sense for people to protect their own. Dogs protect their own. Cats protect their own. So, no, you need to feel that way.
Well, I'm glad I'm not as crazy as some people think I am when I say that.
Put your thing to put yourself first and to put your race first. Everybody else is doing it. If they were not doing it, we wouldn't be sitting in the back of the bus economically because they're taking care of themselves first.
Well, you know, part of it is, and the way we started the show is that we're too busy, you know, trying to join their organizations to prove that we are somebody. And let me just quickly read this paragraph to you. This is by a sister. Her name is Leisha Michelle. And I referenced this article earlier, and I want to just read this first graph to you. She says, I'm disgusted by the way white women who claim to be allies try black women on like we're clothing. If we're in any way too tight or too loose, they move on to a black woman who is a better fit for them. They gleefully tell all their white women friends why they've withdrawn their allyship from the black woman in favor of another black woman or of none of us. They encourage them to do the same. Basically what this sister is doing is white women use black women for convenience. How can we, because I see a lot of sisters all across this country who, and I go back to Hillary Clinton, how so many black women were carrying water for Hillary Clinton when this woman had done some dastardly things to the black community. How do we get black women to start seeing that, hey, as you said earlier, black women and black men came over here on the same boat in feces and urine and regurgitation. We came here together. The only way that we're going to solve our problems are together. But yet we seem to be becoming more fractionalized and in any time that I can remember in my 48 years. I mean 48 years. I mean 38 years.
It's a book called Assume Alliance. We have an assumption, we're under an illusion that we're okay and that things have changed. I was talking with a group before Juneteenth, and we were talking about how many people still have not gotten the news that we are free. We are not free and where we are today. And some asked the question why it took 2 years for the people in Texas to get the news. And some claim that there was a person who went to give them the news was murdered on the way. I can believe that. And others say, well, why would the masters tell them, let the news get there when they need to get their crops done? They need to get more free labor. So my point is, the question to the listeners, did you get the news? Do you know what is happening? It brings me to another point, Dave. When I see these little girls, 6 and 7 years old, with hair hanging down their back, somebody else's hair, and blue and pink and all this kind of, it makes me sick. Because you are saying to a child at an early age, something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with your hair. You need to have somebody else's hair on your head. Do you realize how disturbing and how awful that is for the image of a black child, for these black women to keep doing this to their children? It is the worst thing that you can do when you make a person feel like there's something wrong with the way God made them. It's something wrong with you at 6 years old. If you start wearing your hair down to your butt at 8 years old, what do you think you're going to have to do the rest of your life? How will you ever feel good if you didn't have any hair? If you were in an accident? If you had cancer? Black women, get these folks' hair off of your... If you want to do it yourself, that's fine. Well, please don't start a child. Let them grow up in the side if they want to go that route. But it is absolutely insane to put somebody else's hair on a 6-year-old and 8-year-old kid's head. Women, please stop that.
You know, Dr. Rosie, I'm reminded of the story of the mother. She had a 4-year-old girl she was sending her to a daycare that had, was a predominantly white daycare. And apparently the little girl was telling them, she got a note sent home because the white girls at the daycare were crying. She was making them cry because she was telling them that they don't have black girl magic. Okay? And so the white teacher sent a note home to the mother asking the mother to please tell her daughter to calm down with the black girl magic because it was making all the little white girls upset at school because they didn't have black girl magic. Now, the reason I thought about that as you were speaking, because that's the way young black girls ought to be, is that, hey, I got black girl magic. I got something you ain't got and you can't get it. I can just see that little 4-year-old girl saying that.
I know. That is really a good analogy of that. It really is. But we got a lot of work to do. We just have to embrace each other who we are, work together financially, because, you know, where there's financial distress, you're going to have distress in relationship. You're going to have distress with your children. You're going to have a madhouse, and that's real. And the only way we can come out of this economic ditch, you know, this economic tsunami, is that we're going to have to work together because nobody else is here to try to take care of us. And stop waiting on the politicians to do it because they're being bought off and they haven't shown you now. You can look at every city where there's a black mayor. The people in that city are worse off than cities that don't have one. So politics have never played a part in our economic game. Now they have it played a part in the way we relate to each other because that is not a part of this political equation. What we have to do is look at how we're going to function from a cultural standpoint. And we need to have a national conference on defining who we are, the black man, black woman, what we're supposed to be to each other, how we're supposed to live, and how we're supposed to do. You cannot tell somebody, let somebody tell you who's supposed to be rearing the children, who's supposed to be at home. We can't afford that kind of stuff anymore. What kind of jobs you should work and what type of job you should not work. We cannot allow the masses, the dominant society, to tell us how to live. When we're not making the money they're making, we're not, our kids are not in the schools that their kids have privilege to. So how can you think that you're equal? We are in two nations.
Dr. Rosie, great stuff as always. When we next month, we're gonna definitely delve more into black economics, and I also want to talk a little bit about black preachers. I'm sure you'll enjoy that conversation as well. So, before we let you go, sell some stuff, Dr. Rosie, and tell people about that great event that you have in late April every year in Los Angeles.
That's that Black Writers on Tour, where writers come from across the country. We have writers, and we showcase black business ownership. They come together. And go to my website, drrosie.com or professionalpublishinghouse.com. My email is drrosie@aol.com. So you all have a great day. And if you're mad, I can't do nothing about it. I'm going to speak my truth. At my age, I'm going to tell it like it is.
And that's why I love you, Dr. Rosie, and that's probably why I tell it like it is. Hey, thanks for joining us as always. We'll see you next month. And I tell you, we'll get a lot of lively conversation after today's show. And that's the whole point. And you know, I love you. You have a great day, and we'll talk soon, okay? All right, bye-bye. That's Dr. Rosie Milligan, folks. I'm telling you, we need real talk and we need plain talk.
That was right, man. That was right. I like that.
You know, so she brings it, and that's what we expect. And
she did bring it. She did bring
it. You know, it's time out for these pleasantries and platitudes. It's time to bring it.
It's time to bring it.
You know, our community is suffering. It's dying.
About to get real at you.
That voice you're hearing right there is the Robert Webb. Welcome to the show. We're going to take a quick break, of course. We've got our 2 interns. They're not paying attention to us. They're on the phones.
Yeah, they chilling.
They probably Instagram and,
probably Snapchat.
And the Snapchat, is that what they do now?
Snapchat.
You know,
Snapchat
so
the new thing. It don't last long. I think that one don't last long.
Oh, okay. So, but anyway, we'll be back in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break and pause for the calls. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. Monday through Friday, joinatradio.com. What y'all think about Dr. Rosie? Now, Clayton, once you get your book, she'll help you get it published. Now, she'll help you start a publishing business so you can publish your own book. Okay. So this is Robert Webb. I hadn't formally introduced you all. He's a co-host. He's a business owner also. So he's usually here every day, but sometimes he gets to fly around the country and be a bigwig. You know. So he just came back from Pebble Beach.
I didn't go.
You didn't go? What happened?
The people coming to look at our building, they called Wednesday and said, hey, the only day we can come and look is tomorrow. I was like, you can't do that. I'm going to be in California. This is the only day we can come. So I went Friday, but I didn't get to go.
You didn't go to the tournament? Okay. Sorry to hear that.
Because we only had tickets for Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Well,
you know you could have gotten tickets.
Yeah, but I already paid. I was already out like a couple of grand, so it was like,
oh, I know.
I ain't going through all that.
But you could have gotten tickets cheap Friday. You know how that works,
don't you?
don't you?
Friday night, though.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Okay.
my ticket, when I left Wednesday, when I was leaving Thursday, I was leaving Thursday morning.
Right.
I was going to get there like 1 o'clock.
Right.
Right? But because I had to redo my flight, and so the lady said, I'm going to get you a flight where you ain't got to spend no money. I was thinking, okay, that's cool. But I didn't know that not spending no money meant that I was going to have to fly to Timbuktu.
And then fly back.
And then sit for 16 hours and then fly. Because I left Little Rock at 10:15. And I flew to Atlanta.
And you stayed in you on Delta?
American. I flew to Atlanta.
That's weird. Typically, American flies you to Dallas or...
For whatever reason, I went to Atlanta. I don't know why.
That's weird.
I don't know why. I think maybe it was because of the flight I got. Right?
Okay.
And so I went to Atlanta. And I sat in Atlanta from 11:30 till 9:45.
Oh, my God. You might as well have went out and hung out in the city. Wow.
I got to California. I walked out the airport. It was 1:30 in the morning. When I walked out the airport.
Wow.
But dude, did you know that their airport was? It looked at 1:30 in the morning. It looked like it was noon.
Oh, I know.
Dude, I mean, I'm talking about
which airport in San
about,
Francisco?
San Francisco, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
no biggie. It's all good, y'all. I'm talking about it was. I mean, people coming into the airport at 1 in the morning.
Yep. That's how LAX is. When I flew back from Hawaii,
Yeah.
and the weird thing about it, Hawaii's airport was like that too. I mean, the flight from Hawaii to Los Angeles was packed. It was packed. And then when we got out, so I left Hawaii, I want to say at midnight. Got to LA, it was about 3:40 in the morning. It was packed. It was packed. It was unbelievable. You know, so, but I mean, I fly out of LA a lot anyway, so I'm used to it, you know, seeing it. You would go and buy, you want breakfast, you want lunch, you want dinner. Yeah. Unlike Little Rock, that closes at 5:30. Ridiculous.
It was crazy. What are we talking about?
Oh, we'll get into some local stuff. Let's see what else I have on the agenda here that I want to talk about today. All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio. If you missed Dr. Rosie Milligan, you missed a doozy. I'm telling you, somehow or another, we're going to get her to town. By the way, on July 10th, Dr. Claude Anderson.
Dr. Claude up in the house.
July 10th, Dr. Claude Anderson.
I need my reps.
You know what I'm saying? So what we're trying to do, and I want to thank my interns for booking these people. We're trying to get as many national guests on from the Black experience to talk about issues that affect us. Okay? So it really is. It's all about us. It ain't about none of y'all. Sorry. You know, and I appreciate Dr. Rosie Milligan making it plain, as we like to say, for the radio business. Now, this hour, we've kind of did something a little different. This hour, let's go ahead and do our Black Focus Radio news headlines.
Citizenship question and a major setback for the Trump administration. A school in San Francisco will finally cover up a mural depicting slaves and dead Native Americans that has caused much controversy for their communities. In Arkansas news, Arkansas's 3 abortion clinics backed by the American Civil Liberties Union of Arkansas on Wednesday filed a federal lawsuit challenging 3 newly passed abortion laws that are scheduled to go into effect statewide on July 24th. 2 additional deputies have been fired as a result of an internal affairs investigation following the shooting at Missouri Stoneman Douglas High School that killed 17 people. That's today's Black Focus headline news. Now it's time to get focused with more Black Focus Radio.
And we want to thank Jemiah Ivy, our guest columnist. Look at her. She's like, yeah, what can I say? What can I say? But both Clayton and Jemiah are doing a great job learning a lot. Pretty soon, Jemiah got to run a show today for the first time. Next week, Clayton will run one as well. The whole goal is to get them immersed in radio to the extent where what I hadn't told you all quite often is, as we move forward, once y'all learn this, there may be a part-time job in the offing for you all later on, because periodically we might need people to come in and substitute when I'm gone or JC is gone. So once you all develop some confidence in running the board and running the station, that'll be some extra money you can put in your pocket. I promise you on that. Okay, so that's why. Yeah, I bet y'all paying attention now, ain't you? Playing like money. Hey, I know when I was at you all's age, hey, money was the real deal. Hey, that was about everything there. So again, we want to thank Dr. Rosie Milligan for coming out, or at least getting on the line with us as she do once a month, every fourth weekend, every fourth Thursday, I should say. A couple of things I want to talk about, and Rozelle talked a little bit about this this morning in The Power of Justice. Have you seen the mural in England, Arkansas, Robert?
Yeah, I saw it last on Roselle's page.
You've seen it. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know.
Because, on Main Street, right down the street, I found it interesting. I think they've painted over it now. Yeah. But at one point, there was a mural of a rice farm. Yeah. You remember that, the building now? I think it's a beer tavern or something now, right across the street from Community Bakery. Yeah. No, it was. It was down the street. It was across the street from Community Bakery.
For me, I'm a bit different. So
yeah, you are different.
I looked at that. I would have looked at it as being a part of the history of England. That's because England. If you know, back in the day, that part of the country, man, that was big cotton country.
Yeah.
So I would have looked at it that way. I'm not saying the way other people look at it is wrong. Just to me, I would have looked at it. I saw it differently. But again, I understand the significance for people in England. It's totally different. Now, me again, I live in Little Rock, so I went down to Tucker to pick cotton. So I can kind of understand the significance of the picture. I get it.
You pick cotton?
Yeah, I tried. It wasn't my thing.
It wasn't your thing, huh?
It wasn't my thing.
Was it? So it wasn't embedded in your DNA to pick cotton. Is that what you're saying? No. Well, I hear what you're saying, but I think what really makes it more sinister, and even though you can't see the race of the people, we know who the race of those people are. Let's not fool ourselves.
Yeah. So
now here's the other thing that I think what bothers me is that and I'm looking at this picture, you could have drawn this picture, not put that plantation house out there, because that's clearly what it is, and those two people. I don't have no problem with that. Okay? But the ad that you add that plantation house and those two people, I don't, you know, some white people will say, well, I used to pick cotton. Well, you may have, but you didn't pick cotton under the auspice of a whip, and neither did your ancestors.
That makes a difference. That makes a big difference.
You see, and that's where the people of England, whoever put up that billboard, needs to understand that. You know, even though your history of England may have been cotton, well, part of that history was bigotry, racism, rape, murder, slavery. So what's more important? You putting up an emblem that says, hey, this is what we used to be, and that emblem representing and bringing back bad memories, or putting up an emblem that will foster unity in your city? Right. And that emblem, that symbology there, in my opinion, if I'm black, I'm really offended. I'm going to be honest.
I get that. But like I said, for me, it was something totally different.
Yeah. And you're weird like that, though.
Well, I mean, just for me, it was something totally different. And I mean, not to negate their reality, but yeah, it was something a little different for me.
Well, it's one of those many things that we talk about when it comes to insensitivity of white people, and they just don't get it. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I went over 11 things that was for reparations, or why black people should get reparations. And I found it. Are you familiar with Tariq Nasheed? No. Okay. Tariq Nasheed had 11 items, and I'm going to go through them again because some people said they didn't hear them all. So I'm going to go through them again while you're here and get your comments on them. Okay. Here's the first one. When people say, I've never owned slaves, so I'm not responsible, what are your thoughts?
What is it to say to that? What is it to say to that?
I don't know. That's why I asked you your thoughts.
Well, I mean, no, you didn't own slavery. You benefit from slavery.
Okay. So here's what Tariq Nasheed said. Slavery was sanctioned by the federal government, and all those under government profited from free black labor. So the same government and its subjects owed black people for the free labor that accumulated all the wealth today. So that's basically what you said. Okay. Number 2, I'm Irish. Some of my own owed reparations.
Okay, get to the next one. What? Seriously, go to the next one. What's the next one?
You're supposed to. You see?
There's nothing to say. Go to the next one, then.
That was such a great answer. You don't want to know what Tariq said about this?
What did he say?
Okay, Tariq said, I wasn't expecting it, I'm sorry. Irish indentured servants already received 2 forms of reparations. One was freedom dues, money and land, because, you know, they got money once they finished their indentured servitude, and they got free land. And second was all the tangible benefits that came with the first affirmative action program called white supremacy. So, would you agree with that?
To the next one.
Okay, yeah, I guess you would. Number 3, how would we determine who is qualified for reparations?
How would you what?
How would, if they say, okay, you're going to get reparations, how would we determine who's going to get the reparations? Because this is what a lot of white folks are saying now. Well, you know, it's so hard to do. How are we going to determine who gets reparations and who doesn't?
Huh?
How would you determine that? Now, this is one I don't necessarily agree with him on.
Let me hear what he said.
He says, simple, foundational black Americans who can trace a direct ancestor to slavery. This is relatively easy. If your ancestor was enslaved, most likely you will find them or their descendants on the 1870 census.
Okay.
You think that would work? So he's basically saying that you could find them, trace them back to the 1870 census.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
That would be one tool.
Go back to the 1860s.
That would be one tool, because you have to understand many slaves were not even counted.
Well,
okay.
You know what? I take that back, man. I take that back. That's not you can't even do it that way.
Why?
Well, because you got to remember. So even if they did count black folks then, which I don't think I have to go back and look at that, because I remember reading something that said they didn't start counting black folks in the United States census until like the 1880s, 1890s.
Right. That's my point.
Black people, so black people were not counted. So,
and if I remember correctly, they did not count women. If they did, they only counted the men. So if that,
so they counted women.
Okay,
they counted men and women, but black folks were treated as cattle, so they didn't count black.
Right,
folks.
right.
They were treated as property, so they didn't count black folks.
Right. So that aspect will not work.
It won't work.
It won't work.
I want to believe that I read somewhere that even though black folks were free in 1870 when they did the census, that black folks weren't counted.
Jemiah.
I want to believe that. I want to believe that's true.
Okay. When did the census begin? Let Jemiah look up.
The census started, I think, in the 1800s, 1700s. I think it was like 17.
No, just the United States Census.
I want to say it started in like the 1700s, right? But I read somewhere that they didn't count blacks. For a long time during the census, they didn't count blacks. So.
Well, just looking at this, let's see, I'm going to do Census Bureau. Okay, this says July 1st, 1902. Was the
that's
US,
when we came.
Okay, that's when the Census Bureau was founded.
Right.
All right, so let's see history. Let me go here and see. So it started in 1790.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when they first started counting people. Okay, let's see 6 inquiries.
Now, if you click in there, it'll tell you. How
okay, here it is, right here. White males 16 years and upward. White males under 16 years. Free white males. All
free
other
white
free
females.
persons.
Free white females.
Free white females. And it says slaves here. That's in 1790.
Yeah, but they were not added to the. So, like, if you did your total population, blacks were not included in that total population.
Right, I agree. 855-525. Okay, so let's get back to, let's see, that was number 3. Number 4, why am I responsible for the sins of my forefathers?
Well, I mean, we profit from it. You profit from yours, I profit from whatever mine are, or what they weren't. We all profit from it.
Okay, your ancestors profited from their sins, and the profits for those sins were passed down generationally to you. And those profits have been racially locked into the dominant society away from descendants of slaves. So you all basically agree. You might meet Tariq Nasheed in blackface.
In blackface? Okay.
How would we distribute payments for reparations? And it's interesting because you got a lot of these folks that, well, let's start a government program to make sure that, they can get better health care or better housing or some stupid government program that, they think that'll work. So how would they distribute the money?
That's a tough one. I don't know. Just give them a black card. Say, here you go. Enjoy yourself.
Okay, so I think I saw $14 trillion were owed to black people for reparations.
14 trillion?
14 trillion.
And it's 13 million black folks?
Okay.
So would only grown folks get it, or how would that work?
Good question.
So it would be everybody who's born on this day?
Good question.
So, we talked about this once before. That was the whole problem around slavery and freeing the slaves during the Declaration of Independence. Because conversations like these were had.
Right.
And people were like, well, there's no way possible we can do it. Okay, so we're going to free the slaves. Okay, so how are we going to compensate the farmers? Oh, yeah, but what are we going to do about the slaves we're freeing? How are we going to compensate them? Right. I mean, it was this huge conversation, right? And so that's when we get to reparations. Now, what I find is that in politics, when you have a lot of questions that are tough to answer,
You do nothing.
You do nothing.
Right.
That's it. Because instead of trying to find a happy medium, it's just easy just to walk away from it.
That's a good point. So what you're saying is that because we can't figure out a way to pay black folks, we just don't pay them.
Just don't pay them, period.
At least that's what white folks want to say.
It's not just white folks either. I mean, Dr. Milligan made a great point earlier about black folks being in positions of power and how when they are in positions of power, then black folks who work in those areas get abused. I mean, it's
you mean like President Obama?
President Obama, Bruce Moore, Frank Scott, pick one. Yeah.
It is an interesting, and that's probably the toughest question. But at the end of the day, if you can figure out how to pay, and by the way, I think I saw something, and I think I'm going to go look at my wall here in a moment, but I think I saw something where the U.S. government is paying Native Americans another $400+ billion, a million, somewhere in there. Number 6, what about immigrant groups who came over after slavery, who were mistreated? Should they get reparations?
So we're going to the next one, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll go to the next question. You already answered that. Because you're right, they don't deserve jack.
I'm not having a conversation about that.
Because here's the bottom line.
If you were not brought over.
Forcibly brought
over in the belly of a ship, then I don't really have a conversation. I don't want to have a conversation.
Exactly.
Because it's not worth having a conversation around.
I totally agree. But there are some who are trying to muddy the waters. That's one of those muddy the water questions.
Yeah. But all of these are about muddy. You see, that's the whole point about stuff like this, right? You want to make the conversation so massive that you get nothing done.
Exactly.
So you throw all these things in there because, hey, to somebody, they know they don't make sense, but they make everybody go, we never thought about that. When really, no, there's nothing to think about.
Right. Just figure out a way to get my check.
Right, but it's part of the conversation to making this harder to come to fruition.
Number 8, slavery was so long ago. Why are we worrying about ancient history?
Interesting. Say something about 9/11. That was a long time ago. At this point, almost 10 years ago.
So what's the Civil War? They still worried about that?
Almost 20 years ago, I'm sorry. Why are we still talking about it?
So was World War I and II and Korea and Vietnam. We still talking about that?
Still talking about those. I think that's what's really interesting. So it's almost as though you have to feel ashamed to talk about things. It's almost as though you have to feel ashamed to talk about the things that impact black folks. It's like to be ashamed to talk about it for fear, like Dr. Milligan said, for fear of insulting somebody, right?
Making them comfortable.
Making them uncomfortable, yeah. So my thing is, and this is where I live, so if I talk about the issues that impact me because I got black sons and it makes you uncomfortable, then you ain't my friend. You don't understand. You don't care about me or my kids. So do your thing. I don't care. But I mean, at the end of the day, how can we not rationally talk about the things that impact our kids? I mean, because at some point, our kids are gonna be here, and this is who we're leaving all this to. Yeah.
Number 9, we got a couple of more here. Why should my tax dollars pay for something I didn't do?
Okay, we'll go to the next one.
Tarika, she says, I didn't put Japanese people in internment camps, but my tax dollars went to paying them.
That's true.
I didn't destroy the World Trade Center, but my tax dollars went to pay 9/11 victims.
That's true.
So tax dollars should be used to compensate us. So that was a stupid question anyway. Number 10. The Civil War was reparations. That's what Mitch McConnell said. We elected Barack Obama, so that was reparations.
Yeah, that's how he feels. Yeah, to some degree that makes sense.
Makes no damn sense.
Some people see that makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
To a racist.
You got your reparations was Obama.
To a grand dragon.
Enjoy.
Really, because that's basically that was an insult more than a comment.
You had 8 years of happiness. Enjoy.
So I agree with you. Let's see. Last one. Reparations talk will make white people uncomfortable.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that makes sense though.
Based on what you just said about
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So let me ask you something. Because should we not have reparations because it makes them uncomfortable? And can I juxtapose what makes black people uncomfortable? Do you think slavery made black people uncomfortable?
Do I think?
Yeah. Do you think slavery made black people uncomfortable? You got to think about that.
Hey, I had to think that you even asked me that question.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think Jim Crow made black people uncomfortable?
You know,
what about lynching?
Black people in America have lived in this constant state of fear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, constant. And what she said about black men, I mean, it just blew my mind. So
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something really crazy. I can't remember what I was reading now, but it talked about in this book I was reading. I can't remember the name of the book now, but it talked about how this slave owner bent this black man over a barrel and had sex with him in front of all the other slaves.
It's called buck breaking.
Yeah, said he was one of the biggest, strongest slaves in the field, and he bends him over. Oh, that's a book I was reading about homosexuality. And they were saying that this started.
That's where, yeah, right.
So it was intriguing to me.
And not only did he rape that black man, he would also get his plantation buddies around the area to come and rape him as well, in front of the whole plantation.
I didn't read that part. They just told me that he would.
Oh, trust me. Yeah.
He would make sure that he would bend him over a barrel.
Well, he would actually
have his way with
he would tie him.
Well, from my understanding, they just said he bent him. So they used the word tie. And I'm sure they were allowing you to read more into it, but I didn't. I just heard he bent him over a barrel, but it was crazy. And so that just reminds me of what we're going through now in America. I don't remember what my point was.
Well, I was asking, it makes them uncomfortable, so I was asking the question, did slavery make black people uncomfortable? Or Jim Crow? Or gentrification? Or racial mass incarceration? Or state-sanctioned police, white vigilante murders? Does that make black people uncomfortable?
Probably not.
Oh, it does. That's what I'm saying.
Probably not. Man, black people don't get uncomfortable.
But my point being is that when we're talking about a conversation, those are uncomfortable subjects. Although we as black people have learned to live with that, but it's still uncomfortable. So his point being is the fact that we talk about reparations is uncomfortable to you. Basically, he's saying, get the hell out of here, so to speak. So that's why I thought that was interesting as we went through that. I also want to talk, we got about 30 minutes to go on the show. Last week, Mayor Frank Scott came out with a budgetary plan.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't look too happy about it. Okay. That's why I'm trying to give you this forum. So you can...
You trying to get ripped. You rip it up. Okay,
you can voice your opinion.
Okay.
His goal is to... I'm assuming they're going to increase the size of the zoo. And... Well, based on that map, all of that golf course, all of that stuff is going away. Okay, if they're not going to increase the size of the zoo, then why do it? Because number one, zoos are a tourist attraction. Okay, they draw a lot. You'd be surprised how many mamas and their little babies in the strollers want to walk through the zoo with their babies. I mean, I know people who go to Memphis to the zoo because the zoo here in Little Rock is so poor. I think they still, that same line is over there when I was a kid. It's just lost a little hair. But the point being is that they're going to get rid of the golf courses, Hyman Golf Course and War Memorial Golf Course.
Huge mistake.
And why?
Because you got 63 parks. You only have 4 golf courses. 63 parks and 4 golf courses. You got 2. One golf course, the 2 you got left, they both flood. So the way we have flooding, you pretty much losing revenue. I mean, to me, that was the stupidest thing to do.
But aren't you losing revenue anyway?
If you close a golf course, the one you close is first tee. You know where you close it? Because just last year you gave them $500,000. You ain't gave $500,000 to War Memorial or Hyman or anybody else. But you gave it the first tee. So you should close first tee. That should have been the one you closed. But really, you didn't have to do any of that. You don't have to do any of that, right? So if you really want to do something that's going to have an impact, what you do is you give the zoo to the state, right? And I think the zoo.
I saw you make that point. So, what if the state doesn't want the zoo?
The state will take the zoo if you give them $1 million to leave the name as the Little Rock Zoo. They'll take it. They've taken over zoos. States have taken over zoos all over the country. The Arkansas Park Service, they would love to take the zoo over, right? But it's not forever. It's just 10 years. Give us 10 years to get our stuff straight. We'll come back and get it. But in the meanwhile, what we're going to do is every year we're going to give you $1 million.
But is there going to be any capital improvement while that 10 years is going on?
Of course they will, because the same grant money they get to do things to the other parks and stuff they have, they'll do it to the zoo. It wouldn't be any different. We wouldn't lose anything. Because remember, again, they're getting $1 million to leave the name as a Little Rock Zoo. You get that, right? You don't lose anything. You just gain $4 million. Well, I think that budget is like, I said between 4 and 7, but I think it's like somewhere in the neighborhood like 5, right? So you gain $4 million to put back into the general fund. That money comes right back into the general fund. You ain't got to do nothing. You ain't got to have no layoffs. You ain't got to do none of that because the money's right there. But again, that's what happens when you put people in, when you ask people to be on committees who have no idea about anything. That's what happens. That's the kind of results we get.
So here's my thing, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not a golfer.
It's not even about golf.
Well, let me finish. I'm not a golfer, but I know that Little Rock needs a designated park, a designated free area. It does not have it. For example, Atlanta just designated 7 acres of green space for growing peach trees, apple trees, just all kinds of things. Now, wait a minute, let me finish. I see your little face.
No, go ahead.
Little Rock, I would love to see Little Rock have a beautiful amphitheater that's in a green space. Okay? I would love to see a place where the design I saw, climbing walls, bike parks, skating parks, centrally located, because all of those things, if those parks have those things, are way out. They're on Chenal. They're in those areas. The diagram that I saw, I thought it was fantastic because I'm hoping that they'll give you another example. I'm a fisherman, but I don't fish out of a boat. I fish from the bank. When I go fish, last time I went fishing, I had to drive all the way out to Maumelle, to Lake Williston. Okay, I would love to have a nice place, and I'm waxing. What do they call it? I'm thinking about the past, where I remember when I used to walk from my mom's house on Schiller down to where the Game and Fish Commission is, where all those parking lots are now. You may be a little bit younger than I am. That used to be a fishing hole.
Where?
That was maintained by the Game and Fish Commission. Right down off of where where the Game and Fish Commission is now, right? Behind the Capitol?
It's behind the Capitol, yeah.
Right. When you go down the hill, down at the bottom of that hill, that used to be a fishing hole.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Okay? That used to be a fishing hole. So I'm saying that to have a park like that is in the inner city, I think it's a great idea. Now, I understand what you're saying as far as the funding issues are concerned, but Little Rock needs something like that.
Okay.
I don't want it at Heinemann. Heinemann is still too far away.
So, cities make their revenue from taxes.
Right.
Okay?
And tourism.
Taxes, period. How do you get those taxes?
Right.
Whether by being tourism, by being people moving into your city. Arkansas, Little Rock has had stagnant growth. If you look around us, Conway has grown exponentially. Bryan, Benton, even Whitehall has outpaced us, right?
Whitehall,
Redfield.
What do you mean Whitehall? Why can't it be Blackhall?
Redfield has outpaced us, right? All these places around us have outpaced us. Lono, they've had significant growth. We haven't.
Lono ain't looking too hot.
Lono's had significant growth. They built a lot of houses.
They still got that little one road at the Lono, and the cops sit right there.
But they've all had significant growth, right? So if you look at the reasons these cities are growing and we're not, it's very simple. It's leadership.
True.
And the problem with leadership is that you do things like this, right? So yeah, it's great to build a park, but are you gonna spend money to build some kind of world-class park that's gonna bring people here, it's gonna and create all these tax dollars? No, you're not gonna do that. Because think about it. The reason you did this initially was because you were having shortfalls. So what you're finna do now is you're finna create something else to spend money on? I mean, come on, let's have a real conversation about this, because the conversation everybody having is BS. Because you can't have a real conversation. You're telling me that you're having shortfalls. So because you're having shortfalls, you're gonna close the park, but we're gonna repurpose it. Okay, you're gonna close it and repurpose it. Where are you gonna get the money from? See, that's the conversation we need to have. Ain't nobody having that conversation. Everybody clapping their hands. That's a great idea. I saw the diagram. That's beautiful. Bring it on. But how you gonna pay for it, right? Because the thing is, if you're not addressing the issues in your communities, if you're not addressing unemployment, if you're not addressing the crime, and again, USA Today just had us as the sixth most violent city, right? I mean, those are the things you need to address if you want to increase, your home ownership. Because guys, we ain't doing it, right? And again, as long as you keep, this is the problem that Little Rock has, and nobody seems to understand it. You cannot keep pouring water in a little bitty bucket. You can't take your water hose and just keep pouring water in this bucket. At some point, you got to stop pouring water in the bucket, and you got to figure out how to get a bigger bucket to hold all the water. Because what we're doing is we're constantly putting water in this cup, and it can't hold the water.
So let me address that survey, because I believe Nashville, Tennessee was like 9th or 10th.
Yeah.
Okay.
But per capita, we're number 6.
I know, but let me finish my point. What is Nashville viewed as national?
Well, we ain't Nashville,
listen,
and we ain't gonna be Nashville.
I know that. I'm
repurposing the golf course.
I'm making a point here about that poll. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Okay.
But Nashville is viewed right now as the it city, right?
Yeah, but when you think of Nashville, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Grand Ole Opry.
I don't.
Okay, so you don't, but I do. And people who probably who go to Nashville, the first thing they think about is Grand Ole Opry.
Well, they think about the Tennessee Titans. They think about the Nashville Predators.
But then again, you got the Tennessee Titans.
But
those are two things you have to generate revenue for your city.
But those buttresses my point. If I can finish, sir.
I apologize, sir.
Okay.
Please continue.
Nashville is considered the it city. This is where people are moving to. Rents have doubled and tripled in certain places.
Right.
But they were on that list of one of the top crime-ridden cities in America.
But I don't remember Nashville ever having some of the difficulties that we're currently facing in our city.
They did prior to this move to. I'm not. Let me just finish my point.
Okay.
My point being is that sometimes those surveys can be skewed.
No, they're not skewed.
Well,
the survey's not skewed.
I'm saying because I've lived in both cities.
But again, let me have you understand something, Dave. Again, Dave, how can you say, you know what, we're having shortfalls, we're going to make cuts, right? Mm-hmm. But we're going to repurpose 2 parks. We're going to repurpose 2 golf courses.
That I understand that logic, what you're saying, but what I'm simply saying is this: from an esoteric point of view, I think it's needed in Little Rock. Okay?
No, Dave.
Can I finish?
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
I mean, come on.
Go ahead, Dave. My bad.
Here's why I think it's needed.
Okay, Dave.
It's because if you're going to change the perception, then you got to begin to make safe places.
Okay. Oh, so you're more concerned about perception now. Okay, go ahead.
No. Because on the outside looking in, and I met this sister a couple of months ago, and you know what she did? She lived in Los Angeles, California. Okay. And she's moved to Little Rock. Okay. And I said, Lord, what brought you to Little Rock? Okay. And she said, you know what? You know about the gang violence. I got a 14-year-old son. Yada yada yada. But she said the most important thing. She said I was looking for somewhere that had cheap rent. She said, I'm currently paying close to $3,000 a month in rent. So she decided that she got up on the internet, looked at various cities, and chose Little Rock to uproot 2 of her kids and move to Little Rock.
Okay.
Because
that's cool.
Because of perception.
But the only thing she came here for was rent. So she came here for no other significant thing. My point to you is this. Okay, if you're the mayor of a city, and I'm criticizing your mayor. I'm sorry, Dave.
I can't believe, man, I'm turning off your mic. You criticizing Frank Scott?
And the reason I'm criticizing him is what he's doing is crazy. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to say you're gonna make budget cuts, but then you're gonna spend money. I mean, what kind of philosophy is that?
You spend money to make money.
But that's not the way you spend money. That's not the way you're going to make any money. Because again, remember, cities generate revenue from what? Taxes, right? Sales tax, personal property tax, real estate tax, right?
Tourism tax.
Sales tax,
hotel, motel.
That's a tax, Dave. Yeah. That's a tax.
Right.
Now, how do you get...
I said tourism on purpose. You know what I've been on since I moved back to the city.
What's important to me, though, because tourism is seasonal. It's cyclical, right?
No, it isn't.
It's cyclical. Dave, we're going to say it's cyclical, okay? Because the people you count on to pay your taxes every day are your citizens.
Right. They will pay the bulk.
You count on them every day to pay your taxes.
They'll pay the bulk.
Right? And so a city's job is not to do anything else but provide a quality of life. They want to make sure.
So you don't think those parks would be quality of life?
But yeah, but think about what you did to those old people who play golf at War Memorial and Honda. You just pretty much screwed their quality of life, right? Because you got a lot of people who don't want to take the chance of driving down to.
I hate to be crass.
What's that?
So, how many of those old people are black?
A lot of them.
Have
you ever been to the golf course?
Yeah, give me a percentage.
Of all the golf courses in our city, the most diverse golf course in our city is War Memorial. The most diverse. So you can go there and you'll see more black and white people playing golf than you'll see anywhere else.
Okay.
I even see Hispanic people out there playing golf. But the point is not about who plays golf, but it's more so about what city government does, the job of city government. Would you
be happy if they put in a putt-putt course over there instead?
Well, it's not so much about that. But again, let's talk about. But if you're talking about
big clown mouth,
But if you're talking about how you're going to move forward, then you can't talk about closing the golf course to repurpose it for a park. Because let's think about this, right? Let's think about this for a second. Let's just play devil's advocate. So if you close the golf course down, right, then there's several things you got to do to get the golf course to where you can actually operate as a park. Because there's things you got to have, right? So if you're going to have a park, that means you're going to need more concrete. How much is that concrete going to cost per linear foot, right?
Well, I'm hoping it's not going to be a lot of concrete. I'm hoping it's going to be green space. It needs to be. So? It should be, yeah.
I think.
A park is not concrete. A park is green space. A park is trees.
You're going to have walkways. You're going to want to have pavilions. You're going to have concrete, bro.
You're going to have some
walkways and pavilions and that kind of thing, right? And let's just talk about what are going to be the costs, because everybody's making it seem like it's going to be such a great idea. But has anybody stopped to think, how much is it going to cost? What are the costs that are going to... The diagram you saw, it had a bunch of beautiful stuff in it, didn't it? Did they give you a price tag of how much all that was going to cost?
No, I didn't see it.
How much is it going to cost you to extend the zoo out? And have you done some kind of feasibility study to see if it's going to make you any money back? Right? Well, see, this thing, the things I'm saying to you really, really don't matter. Because at the end of the day, right, the city's supposed to provide a certain quality of life for its residents. And I feel that in closing those 2 golf courses, the city of Little Rock didn't do that. Right? Now, you have a zoo that is landlocked. Right? You have a zoo that's landlocked. Now, you knew the zoo was landlocked when you built the Jim Daly Fitness Center. You knew it was landlocked. You knew it was landlocked when War Memorial, when they left Ray Winter Field. You knew it was landlocked. Right? Now, let's just have a conversation about good governance, because you could have had a ton of space to expand in, but you chose not to.
But that zoo has always been landlocked. But you forget, it's not when they built Jim Daly. Prior to Jim Daly, War Memorial Pool was there.
Well, Memorial Pool's still there.
Right, I'm just saying, but that pool,
my point is,
that parking lot that's over there now that the zoo uses, that used to be the pool.
You could have repurposed all that. You could have repurposed all that.
Well,
the zoo out.
But that's been 30 years ago.
We're talking about Jim Daly was just built, what, 20-some, 30-some years ago?
Well, that's what I just said, 30 years ago.
20-some years ago.
So what I'm simply saying, and this is what I'm looking at it from this point of view, is that I agree with everything you're saying as far as generating taxes. Mm-hmm. And I've said this.
And I still haven't been able to make my point. Let me make this point real quick and I'm done. Okay.
God, give a black man a mic and he just uses it.
The point I really want to make here is that if you really want to have an impact in your city and you really want to see your city grow and prosper, the two things you really focus on, the two most important things you focus on, first is your education system. That's the first thing you focus on, right? You improve your schools, right? Because, hey, people walk around talking about...
so if you don't have taxes to improve those schools, how do you do that?
You got to figure out a way to improve your schools. You know what? That's a great question. Love to sit down and talk about it. But the point is that you have to improve your education system. Because people don't move to cities that have terrible education.
I agree.
People don't move.
But see, I think you can do that and have growth if it's done correctly.
You can.
I think you can.
So listen. The two things that I know that coincide with each other.
You know why I'm saying that?
No.
Nashville didn't improve its schools. They got the Tennessee Titans, the Nashville Predators.
Well, but Nashville had something to draw to. What do we have to draw to?
Okay, so thank you. Ooh, yeah, I just put that on the tee for you. That's where I'm going with this. What Nashville?
What does Little Rock have to draw?
But see, that's my point.
Okay, tell me what your point
I've been trying to get to this since I met Sally last month.
I apologize. Go ahead, brother.
The whole point. You're right. Nashville, although they had the CMA Awards, where they would every year all the country music people would come out and they would have free concerts and draw hundreds of thousands of people to Nashville. Mm-hmm. They had the Grand Ole Opry. They had Gaylord Entertainment Center. Mm-hmm. Those were tourist attractions. Mm-hmm. Okay? My number one complaint since I moved back to Little Rock is there's nothing to do in this city. Mm-hmm. Nothing. Mm-hmm. All right? So Are you
familiar with Brownsville, Texas?
Okay, let me finish my point, Mr. Sir. Okay, Mr. Sir, can I finish my point?
My bad, go ahead.
We sit between two of the busiest interstates in America, where this time of the year, if you get on the interstate today, I guarantee you're going to see somebody in a Winnebago car or truck packed with luggage going somewhere.
I don't disagree.
Okay? Why is it that there is nothing here that tells those people that's going from either coast to say, hey, stop in Little Rock, spend your money here? You see, that is millions of dollars that we are allowing to just drive past our city. And somehow, when we talk about in a city like Little Rock with a declining tax base, then we should be looking at everything possible to draw taxes. Okay? Let me finish. I'll be finished in just a second. Okay? Right now, Little Rock is not doing that and has not done that in the past. And if we don't start building things that will make mom and pop pull over and stay the night, or when they're planning their itinerary and they look at Little Rock and they pull it up and they say, oh, just give me an example. I haven't been to Dallas in decades. The last time I went to Dallas for recreation was to see Prince. That was back in the 80s on New Year's Eve. So Labor Day weekend, myself and some friends are planning to go to Dallas. You know what the first thing I did? I got on the internet and pulled up and typed in, what are the things to do in Dallas? Okay? And started planning out my itinerary. I'm going to Kansas City for the 4th of July. I'm already knowing I'm going to the Negro League Baseball Museum. I'm going to Gates Barbecue. I'm going to the barbecue hut that sells all kinds of barbecue sauces. They have over 10,000 barbecue sauces. I'm going there. The point being is that when I get on the internet and say, what is there to do in Little Rock? What is there to do in Little Rock? Oh, you can go to Little Rock Central. That's it. Oh, you can go to the Clinton Museum. That's it. If we're going to We have to figure out a way to build the schools. And we have millions of dollars driving down I-30 and I-40 every day. And we never have reached out to figure out how to tap into that money. That's a key to me. And I think a green space like that park is a beginning process, because it'll be a nice place for people to pull over and rest. You know, and then, of course, if they are going to expand the zoo, well, what do people do? Quite often I remember, I think it was the Memphis Zoo, that they borrowed a panda from China. So people were driving to Memphis just to see a panda. This zoo they don't do those types of things. Okay. You see? All right. So if you're going to expand it, then expand it and make it a legitimate zoo and not a pen to hold animals. And that way, when people are driving up and down I-40 and you got little Johnny or little Sally and they tired, and you say, well, y'all want to go to the zoo? Yay! Mommy, can we go to the zoo? Yay! Okay. And then you go to the zoo and you get tired and say, well, you know, instead of going on, let's spend a night in the zoo.
So I have to make sure that we drop with it. We're planning on a level playing, right? So the population in Little Rock for the 2010 census was 197,881. All right, with total retail sales of $4 billion. All right, total retail sales of $4 billion for Little Rock. Okay, let's go to your beloved Nashville. The population in Nashville, Dave, is 659,000.
As of what date?
2010 census.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's Metro Nashville.
Okay.
The reason I know that,
with a retail economy, with total retail sales of $9 billion.
But I'm pretty sure that's Metro Nashville.
Hold on, Dave.
Okay.
All right. Now that is significant, because you have 600,000 people and you have a $9 billion total retail sales, right? Little Rock, we have 200,000 rounding up, and we have 4 billion. Now that's pretty significant as well.
Yep.
Right. Now let's have this conversation, Dave. You say that if we increase green space, that's going to attract people to Little Rock.
One of the things that will attract.
So let's talk about how much tax dollars impact your bottom line. Okay. Now this is the thing. Nobody's ever said does tourist revenue make up 20%, 10%, 5%? Nobody knows.
But they do know.
One thing we do know.
But why hadn't someone asked that question?
The one thing we do know is that when it comes to resident revenue, we know that's at least 95% or 90%. We'll say for argument's sake, let's say it's 80%, right? Because you got real estate taxes, you got personal property taxes, you got utility taxes. So anything they cell phones, they paying taxes to the city for them cell phones. Everything the city gets a tax off of, right?
Right.
From its residents. Now, if you got people coming in town, here we are paying for all those things, right? And what we need is to bring more people in who can pay more tax, right? You get that, right? Now, you don't do that by building a damn park. You do that by improving your infrastructure. You do that by improving your schools. You do that by addressing crime in a really smart way, other than building a bigger jail and hiring more police. That's not how you build a damn city. But people, like I said, the plan look good. People feel like we're doing something really positive because you know what? Maybe they feel like they are. But no, what you're doing is you're putting us in a worse spot than we're already in. Because think about this, Dave. How can a city who just raised $500 million 9 years ago be in damn debt? You passed a sales tax in 2011 that's going to raise you $500 million. Tell me now how you in debt. Let's have a conversation, Dave. Now let's really have a real conversation here. Because see, we ain't having a real conversation because people want to talk about we're going to repurpose the golf course. Oh my God, it's going to be green space.
Are you making fun of me?
No, I'm not making fun of you, Dave.
Are you making fun of me?
No, I'm not making fun of you.
Okay.
I'm making fun of other
Well, you were looking at me.
Because you know the way in the room. Okay, let me.
Make fun of DeMaio over there. There's Clayton over there.
I'm not making fun of anybody. But my point is that you cannot repurpose anything if you're not having these real conversations.
Okay.
Where the hell did this money go, and why are we back in the shape that we were in before? Because the whole reason we had a sales tax is because we were having shortfalls, right? Mm-hmm. We were having shortfalls. We weren't making projections every quarter. We was losing money. Now you got a sales tax and you still losing money. Why? That's a conversation we need to be having. Hell, we're trying to repurpose a golf course. Nah, but see, the thing is that if I do enough stuff, I keep you off the real issue. I have you focused down the road where you're not looking at what you're really supposed to be looking at. And what you're really supposed to be looking at is, how the hell we get back here? Right? Because in 10 years, you done took in $500 million.
Well,
where the hell did that money go? How are we back in trouble?
I'm trying to get a word in.
Okay, go ahead. Please continue.
I understand your argument, and it's a very valid argument.
Okay.
My argument is not necessarily for the repurpose itself, but to repurpose Little Rock, okay? Because, again, all of that money that's driving by this city on a regular basis, somehow or another, you got to throw a net out there and catch some of it, all right? You got to do that.
How much the net going to cost you, though, Dave?
Well,
Dave, how much the net going to cost?
I don't know.
Hold on, Dave. Look. And if you can't do it by yourself, you got to pay somebody. How much is it going to cost you to pay somebody to help you throw the net out there? But no, Dave. I know, I don't want you to do that. I want you to think about what you're saying. No. No, because, Dave, we keep having these conversations, and we're not talking about the right stuff, right? We're not talking about how we going to pay for it, right? Not only how we going to pay for it, how the hell we get here, right? How we get back to where we started from? We're right back where we started from. How all of a sudden now we got shortfalls again? What the hell? Right? Now, again, cities are not profit centers. I'm not saying they should be. But my point is that you should be able to maintain a city or at least show some significant growth. So you can say, you know what? We took in $500 million. And taking in that $500 million, this is what we did. And look at our population. Our tax rolls have increased by 30%. But you don't see that, right? You don't see that because there was no plan for that. There was no plan to increase your tax rolls, right? Because there has never been a plan to increase your tax rolls. That's why you get your damn money.
I agree.
So why are you not doing things to increase your tax rolls?
But that's my point is that, okay.
You can't, Dave, them damn tourists ain't going to increase your tax rolls.
But
that ain't going to increase, that's not going to be significant enough to change your outcome, Dave.
But it will. Here's why.
No. When they come to your town, they're going to be here for 2 weeks.
Maybe.
Now, remember, Dave, they're going to stay in a hotel.
Right.
Okay, they're going to stay in a hotel. They'll buy some food.
Right.
So let's say that you'll make, if they stay here a month, you'll make $500 off of it.
Okay.
But hold on,
I'm not even talking about that, though.
Hold on. I want to make sure we understand what we're comparing. Now, you take a citizen who lives in Little Rock. They got a house. They're going to pay you $400 when they go down there to renew their tags. Let's say they're going to pay you $400 when they go to renew their tags. They're going to give you another $300 when they pay their personal property tax. Then they probably giving you, over a year's time, they probably giving you $1,000 in tax revenue.
I agree.
Hold on, in sales tax revenue.
But they do that every year.
Hold on, Dave. Not only that, though, Dave, they're giving you another $500 in utility revenue.
Right.
Right? Now, Dave, I got somebody who's giving me $3,000 a year versus somebody who's giving me $400, $500, right? Do I want the $3,000 or do I want the $500? I want the $500. Don't get me wrong, but I need to figure out a way to increase the $3,000.
Okay.
Because the $3,000 is more significant. That's the conversation nobody's having. That's the conversation.
Or I need to figure out a way to get more people paying that $3,000.
That would be a good idea. That would be good too.
So how do I do that?
That would be good
So when those people, those tourists, drive through Little Rock and enjoy the city, oh, I just got a new job. Or I want to move to another city. That's how you attract more residents, by having things that benefit them, what are they, culture of life type things. So I agree with what you're saying, but those people that are already here, you're going to get that same money hopefully every year. But again, your city grows, you need more needs, you need more people to pay that $4,000 or whatever that amount is. So you have to figure out a way to attract people to your city. So how do you do that?
I just told you, Dave.
Wait a minute, but you do it. But again, in order, if you want to say schools and all those infrastructure and all that, well, where does that money come from?
Dave, this is a difference, Dave. You focus on a nickel. I'm focused on a dollar. You see?
Did you just cuss me?
You focused on a nickel. I'm looking at a dollar.
What you call me?
but you get my point, right? You're looking at a nickel.
Get it.
I'm looking at a dollar. Now, I'm not saying a nickel's not important, because if you get enough nickels, you get a dollar, right? But the thing is, let's get a bunch of dollars. We have never put together a plan to get a bunch of dollars.
And part of that plan should be pulling some of that money off that interstate that drives by the city every day.
That's not enough, Dave.
I'm not saying it's enough.
That's not enough.
I said part of the plan, Robert. Part of the plan.
Part of the plan should be that, Dave. But again, Dave, what am I going to invest into pulling that traffic off the freeway? That's a question we'll have to talk about. But the money that I invest to pull that, to put bodies and get them $3,000 every year, that's what's significant.
You're a businessman, right? How much money did you spend to make money?
Man, it depends. It depends. Sometimes you got to spend a lot. But this is the thing, though, Dave. This is the thing. In a situation like this with a city like Little Rock, right? They're in a really unique position, okay? And we can't have conversations about moving forward, in my opinion, until we talk about how we got right back to where we were when we started.
No, that's a valid point.
Because nobody's had that conversation yet. How did we get right back to where we started from? We're right back where we started from. But nobody's had a conversation. Nobody's explained to us, how are we right back where we started?
That's a good question. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's going to do it for today. LaTanya, be quiet.
What's the thing, sir?
LaTanya says, I agree with Robert. No park going to make folks stop in Little Rock. I agree with you on that, LaTanya. I'm not saying the park is going to make, but we got to do something to get some of this money that's going past the city and going to Conway or wherever it's going, or going to Stuttgart or up the Red River or down the Arkansas River. I don't care. We got to figure out a way to get some of that money off that interstate because it's a lot. It would be different if we lived on Highway 61. If we were on Highway 61 and then have tourists, but you got I-30 and I-40, millions of dollars, millions.
Yeah,
people are bypassing Little Rock and saying, "Oh, we'll just get gas in Memphis."
Yeah, if you don't have a tank, I would too.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would too. What's the point of stopping here?
What's the point of stopping? But you know, when I go to Memphis, I got Beale Street, I got Elvis, I got barbecue.
Let me tell you something really interesting, right? So, I'm a very unique traveler, right? And so, I don't stop a lot of places unless there's some kind of historical significance that I want to check out.
Right.
So you got people that stop in cities for different reasons.
Right.
And unfortunately, in Little Rock, if the only thing that we really have that has any national significance, other than the Clinton Library, is Central.
That's it.
So once you ride down Clinton Boulevard and you ride down Park, hell, you might as well just jump back on the freeway because you see Little Rock.
I totally agree.
Because there's nothing else. There's nothing else being offered. Now, when you talk about people who want to move to your city, right? Okay, so if I'm looking to move to a city, I'm going to look for two things. I'm going to look at how your education system is, and I'm going to look at your crime.
And you're going to also look at quality of life.
I'm going to look at quality of life, but I'm going to look at education and crime because I can deal with being disappointed in my quality of life things, right? But I'm not going to look past the education system. The education system is very important. Now, Little Rock, or our city leaders have constantly talked about improving Little Rock. You cannot improve Little Rock if you do not have your hands in the Little Rock School District. It can't be done. You can't have failing schools, failing kids, and expect to have a thriving city. It just don't work.
Well, that's another conversation. We got to get out of here, but part of that problem is your governor.
That ain't got nothing to do with the governor.
Yeah, it does.
That ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about now about the city having failing schools. That ain't got nothing to do with the governor. Schools been failing before he was governor.
Right,
Don't do that.
But those schools weren't failing.
Yes, they were.
Okay, but here I don't want to get into that, right? Because we got to go. But here's just a quick point to that. and I've said this over and over again, I agree with you on that point because I'm still waiting for Little Rock to take an active role in how they've got these schools set up through the government, through the state right now. And that's the problem. That's the real problem. Because you're right about that. But until the mayor, the city board says, hey, look, we want our schools back, and if we don't get them back here's a deadline when we expect our schools back. We're going to sue you. We're going to sue the state. Until they do that, it's going to stay the same. Because it's pretty clear the governor's trying to destroy the school system.
Yeah, I disagree.
So it's up to the city.
It's not the governor who's trying to destroy it.
Well, it's Walmart.
No, it's Little Rock has done a very good job of destroying it before anybody else started.
Maybe so, but I'm just simply saying that the governor is certainly adding to that too, because his pocket has been padded by Walmart. Okay, that's just the bottom line on that. So at the end of the day, it can be fixed if the city is willing to make that statement and say, hey, look, we've had enough of this. We want our school system back. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, we got to get out here. Good stuff as always, Robert. You're a good argumenter. We're only 5 minutes over today. Hey, we got to get out of here. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. I saw your comments, Jackie. Thanks for logging into the YouTube channel, and of course, those of you who were able to see us on Facebook. For some reason, this week Facebook has been up and down. You know, usually when you start dropping black knowledge, Facebook starts messing with your live feed for some reason. That's what I understand. So we'll be back tomorrow. And hats off to the interns, Demaya and Clayton, who did a great job on doing the news feeds.
Good job.
They will be doing the Black Focus Radio news feeds every day, so you will be hearing them. So I appreciate all the support you all give them. Oh, one other quick point. I meant to say this earlier, and Demaya, you need to remind me. Demaya is an aspiring seamstress. Okay?
That's right.
And we're going to talk about this tomorrow as well. She is doing sewing by her hand. She needs a sewing machine. If you are someone out there who has a sewing machine and would like to donate it to a young lady who wants to develop her trade, then please let us know. We're going to be talking about this more as well, all right? All right, we got to get out of here.
Hey, spend money on your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Remember, brilliant minds discuss ideas. That's what you just heard. Average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people. Y'all have a great day.
You've been listening to Black Focus.
All righty. Good stuff, man.
With our solutions.
Going it up.
You
own one this week. What's your deal, bro?
Man, I'm just trying to do my thing Thank you so much. So you all are out tomorrow, right? So y'all do Monday through Thursday. Okay, cool. All right, well, I'll see y'all on Monday. Y'all have a good weekend. Okay? And don't spend all your paycheck in one place. In fact, save me about $20. All right, man. You in tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
I'll probably be late again.
Okay.
All right, peace.
Mm-hmm.